Poesía. Poetry. Greek meaning poesía. I create, yo creo, conveying love, at times some anger, lyrical yet magical methods of manifestations. I love it. A way of remembering, holding on to memory, preservation is called poetry. Predating literacy in many languages, 9 elements of poetry, alliteration, assonance, consonant, figurative language, poetry. I love the imagery. Rhyme with me, feeling the rhythm, sometimes bongos, but today cover me. I'm going in with drums and violins. I'm Dr. Poetry, I dancer while I write a stanza, choosing wisely my tone, bailando el son, escuchando la clave, deeply feeling the recentering rapidly to the movement of my pen as I express my thoughts through poem. What many refer to poetry, but was Latin really derived from the Romans? Negative, it's from the Phoenicians. Latin realmente no derivó de los romanos. After all, aren't we all hermanas y hermanos? Honors to all languages as we keep creating. We may all be speaking, but are we really communicating? I see you over there playing investigator all in my hair, pero yo no me ha muerto para que me estén velando. Entiendo lo que estoy falando, mi filia. Fica con calma, nene. No fica así, no. No fica con rabia, no. No one is shaming you for speaking different languages that connect us all. There's always truth in the lie, and I choose to rely on my frequency. But for me, it's the ability to express my thoughts in several languages. After all, the point of it all is to connect and not disconnect. Protection for the connection. Embrace my affection. In poética dieri, soy doctora poesía. Soy la doctora poesial. Oh, ¿qué aconteció como lengua latina? Ella es extinta. What happened to the Latin language? Is it extinct? Is it dead? Está muerto. Que un mergulano inició de latín. ¿El donde veo? De donde vino? Phoenician derived, said the Romanos. So they added CIC to create a romantic language of French, Romanian, Spanish, and Portuguese. There's always truth in a lie, and I choose to rely on my frequency to embrace all dialects, accents that beautifully remind us of our diversified ancestry. Poesía sounds like a lot, right? I love it. Speaking Latin, Portuguese, and Spanish, but where did it come from? Phoenician. No one is shaming you for speaking different languages. Ninguém tá falando mentira, minha filha. Fica com calma, neném. Da mão não fica assim, não. There's always truth in the lie, and I choose to rely on my frequency. Frequency. Ninguém me está julgando você por falar diferente. A linguagem que nos conecta a todos. Yo amo poesía con toda mi alma. Poesía. Feel free to hate on me. I'm Dr. Poetry, and I love poetry.
Hey.
Welcome back. Happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Hear Me Out Poetry. Episode 5, y'all. And I'm here with the lovely Miss Cheesecake, Dr. Poetry, and
Hey.
know, Def Poetry. And today, we're going to bring it back, y'all. We're going to bring it back. Where we going? We're going back to those days of youth. Right, we had back to those days where we had dreams, we had aspirations, and those days where we wanted to be certain things growing up, certain role models, certain influences, what inspired us, and we're gonna bring it back to that. I'm excited to be here with y'all lovely ladies. Miss Cheesecake, Dr. Poetry, how you doing this Saturday? What's going on?
I'm good. I love my Saturdays. I love it. Happy Saturday. I hope you're having a great time. You had a wonderful week at work. Everyone, salute to all my co-workers, all the police, first responders, military serving this country. I appreciate y'all all. I can't wait to get into it because I was having a conversation about that when I was a little girl. But Miss Cheesecake, how you doing? We missed you last week. You feeling better, right?
Yes, I'm feeling much better. There's something going around. Happy Saturday, everybody out there. Happy Saturday to you guys. I miss y'all.
Well, we missed you too. We missed you too, but we still play that Sundress Girl. Let me tell you, I'm getting a lot of great feedback with that song. Every time people hear it, they want to just be like, they want to, I want to go to Puerto Rico.
Exactly.
Like thinking about You know, I think that's why Def went to Puerto Rico
Man,
because the
I'm
sundress.
telling you,
Oh.
I'm gonna tell y'all did a great job on that piece right there. Like, I can't relate to the wearing those sundresses, right? But the feeling, the feeling and the vibe that y'all put behind that, and it shows that y'all had fun making. Y'all had so much
Absolutely.
fun making that. Like, who can't vibe out to that? Like,
Exactly.
man, I share it. I definitely try to share it. Viewers, check that out. Sundress. We're gonna play it a little bit later on today. And please share, man, because that's a jam. That's a
It's a
jam right
jam.
there.
It's a jam. It's a vibe. I mean, and I love, and I say this all the time. I call you the Sade of poetry, Miss Cheesecake. But there's two things that you are definitely. You have a signature. I can't do that part at the end when you go. "Arr." Well, I can't do that part. I can't. I could do the, "Arr," but I can't do what you do. You really sound like a lion. And then, I love her soothing voice. I
Yes.
love it. It's beautiful.
Yes.
It's so you. I love you, but I love how you
I love you.
say that. The way she said, you know, when she talks about Puerto Rico, Borinquen, you would think she was there,
Hmm.
Right.
and I want us to mute up and accept deaf because I want everyone to hear what those coquis sound like. All right, I'm gonna mute up right now. I'm gonna mute up. I'm gonna do this, y'all. So you could go visit Puerto Rico. You could visit Borinquen. Visit Borinquen. Because when you hear Miss Cheesecake in that song, this is what she's talking about. She wants to hear the coquis. Check this out. Let me mute up.
Yeah, that's right. This is like rain. This is like white noise. Take a listen, y'all.
I love it. I love it.
It's
I
funny.
love
It's
it.
funny because I'm used to hearing noise, right?
Hmm.
And this is not noise to me. It's like white noise. It's like it's like rain. It's. And if you're talking to somebody on the phone or that's not used to it, they're like, "Oh my goodness, it's so loud. How can you deal with that?" And you really don't even realize it's going on.
You don't.
But it's so therapeutic, and it's the best. Uh, it's the best noise.
I think
I could talk.
sound. I would
Yeah,
say it's a sound.
sound.
It's a
It's
nice sound because it's not noise.
yes,
It's soothing.
Hawaii complained about it at one point. Hawaii had a problem with it because in Hawaii, I don't know how, but it's a coinky dink. Hawaii, Puerto
they
Rico have
have
a lot in
cookies.
common. They have coquis
Mhm.
in Hawaii,
Yeah,
but
true.
they were considered like a
Invasive,
problem for them. It's
invasive.
like
Yeah.
like yeah, they felt invaded by it. Meanwhile, we honor it. It's part of our. You go to sleep to them. A lot of people go to sleep to crickets. You know, in Puerto Rico, you know how you say crickets, crickets, because when somebody stays quiet in Borinquen, we're like coqui, coqui. What happened? Like what happened? You're not
Yeah,
talking coqui,
I love
coqui, like because that's what we hear, and it's
it.
beautiful. So I know I'm obsessing over these coquis, but I'm glad you're back to the island, to Borinquen. I'm glad you're back here.
It's
I know
great to
you've
be
been
back.
dying to go back to the
Yep,
land and see there's nothing better than being in the mountains and that fresh air. You know,
Hmm.
it's beautiful. So, guys, if you hear Def when he speaks and you hear those coquis, because it's always Saturday night, they're out there too. They're having fun. So,
Hmm.
so just embrace it. It's part of the poetry. I guess they
what
want to
they
recite too.
celebrate. They celebrating because I'm back.
Exactly.
They
It's
really just celebrating because I'm back. And it's funny. We talk about noise, right? Noise, sound. It's music. It's poetic, right?
Hmm.
I was outside earlier, and I was actually listening to some Willie Colon, right? Uh,
Mm.
and I got the music playing, and I'm watching nature, and you have it's beautiful because I feel like the trees and the leaves were dancing to the music, and not every leaf was moving, but it'd be two out of the bunch, and they was just shaking and just dancing, and I was trying to capture it. It's
mm,
it's really it's soothing, it's beautiful,
ethereal.
it's
It's
a
Hmm.
it's a
beautiful.
connection. It's a connection.
Hmm.
Oh my goodness. It's great to be back.
That's
Well,
beautiful.
I'm glad you are ready. I'm glad you are ready. So I'm gonna go around the room. I'm gonna ask a question. All right, the question is: when you were a little girl, little boy, where did you see yourself in terms of, like, what did you think? What did you want to do for real? Like,
Mm.
what was the real? I don't. Please do not give me this answer. Like, Miss Cheesecake, Steph, tell me the truth, okay? You know, I asked that question one time to a friend of mine in the South Bronx when we were little. What do you want to be when you grow up? I'm not lying. Actually, I didn't ask her the question. Was it that? Is that how it went down? No, no, no. I'm mixing things up. My sister told me once. I'm gonna say this because this is interesting. My sister told me once that for Halloween, everybody got dressed up. They were kids. And then they asked this one girl, they couldn't understand what was her outfit because she was just really looking kind of, I don't know. And the teacher asked her, what do you want to be when you grow up? You know what she said? Oh, she said, what are you dressed as? She says, a prostitute.
Oh,
Exactly.
oh,
Ooh,
Exactly.
okay.
ooh,
Exactly. No, no, I know. Well, Def is like, why would you say that? But when we kids, we don't know what that is.
No.
Our area,
yeah,
we see things. We don't
yeah,
know what's really happening unless you have that mom and dad that's really, guiding you. Not everybody had that when they were growing up, when they were little
right,
kids, you understand? And so,
yeah,
um I say this because, speaking about Puerto Rico, and I'm gonna say this real quick, Def, because I know I asked you a question and I just jumped in there, but I it reminds me, when we moved to Puerto Rico, when I was a little girl, my mom gave it a shot to live here. We were kids. We didn't last here too long. But I remember I was in this school in San Juan, and they had a Halloween party. There goes Halloween again, because that's when kids start tapping into what they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Halloween is almost like, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to dress up for Halloween? Pay
Mm-hmm.
attention to what they want to do, right?
Their
And
imaginations.
their imagination.
yeah.
So I loved the story of Cinderella.
Mm-hmm.
I used to love that story. And I said, I'm going to dress up like Cinderella. But of course, I went on my own. I went into my mother's closet. I picked up this dress. It's like, in my mind, it was a dress, but it was really a negligee. I know. I know. True story. My mom could tell you. I wish I could call her up right now. And I put on, it was silky, it had a whole bunch of lace. So what do you think as a kid? What are you seeing? So soft. You think I believed that was for that?
You
For that
didn't know.
romantic? I didn't know. I had to be 6 years old. I was about
Innocent.
yeah, I was 6 or 7, around that age. And I put that. Then she had the heels, okay, with the glass. You know, the ones that,
Mm-hmm.
think about it. My mom was freaky. Holy crap!
You say, hold up, hold
Wait a
Hold on.
minute.
I just realized my mom is a freak. Mama,
Ooh.
you a freak. No
wow.
wonder. Shout out to mommy. You got it from your mama. No, she's
Hey.
freaky. No, because she had the heels, the platforms with the crystal, with the glass
Mm-hmm.
heel, the transparent ones. And
Mm-hmm.
I love those because you know what my mind said? A glass slipper.
Yep.
So I had the dress, I had the glass slipper, and guess what I did with my hair? I remember putting it all down. I put it in a bun. I put like one little curl coming out here. I did my own makeup. And I remember my mom. So we walked to school. I was walking through there, went to school. Teacher was like, what are you gonna be for Halloween? What are you? I said Cinderella. Meanwhile, my little nip, everything you could see everything. And she did. They brought me back. My mom didn't get to see
Oh
me
my
that
god.
morning. Boy, did I tell you that I got a,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? And I'm like, but I was Cinderella. She was like, my whole point is, when you're a
That's
child,
funny.
you want to be things, but you don't even know what you're doing. We know that
Yeah,
already. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying anything that nobody knows here. It's very simple. But the imagination, our imaginations takes us places that it could be great, but it could also be very dangerous. So I don't know. I guess I felt that. And it just brought me to a place. Now that you're saying you're in Puerto Rico, I hear the coquis. It reminds me of all that when I was a little girl,
Wow.
walking to that Puerto Rican school, that I didn't even speak Spanish. Like I didn't even understand anything. So, what did you want to do when you were a little boy?
Well, you know, I had I always wanted to be a professional athlete. Um,
Wow.
growing up, I
Okay.
was always outside. I was always playing sports. Um, and I was always playing with the adults. Um, I was always active, every sport, playing every sport. Um, and I always saw myself, like a Michael Jordan, like a Ken Griffey Jr., like,
Okay.
you know, uh, um, you know, and football. I love football. I love basketball. I love to play baseball. Everything, you name it. I was out there playing hockey, with the hockey kids. And
The
I,
hockey kids.
the hockey kids. I ain't know nothing about
That's
hockey.
different. I'm hanging out with the hockey kids today. What the hell?
Um, Also, just I was always outside. I was always
Okay.
outside. And unfortunately, I didn't. I didn't get the guidance or the education. I didn't understand the concept though, about taking it that step. I was always, I just understood that I had sportsmanship or and me personally, I was just trying to get out the house, and I just got good at playing the sport. I excelled. I loved it. Now I just never took it serious,
Hmm.
and also being younger too, I I was always drawn into cutting hair. Uh, you know, uh, my mother cut my hair for maybe like the first, so maybe I was like 8 or 9, and she buys some Kmart clippers, and it come with a little with a video. You watch the video, and poof, you a barber. And I
Yeah.
swear I had the jacked up haircuts, till I was like 9 years old, and then I started. I remember I bought a battery powered trimmer, and I would cut everybody up. I'll be trimming everybody, and I'll be in the barbershops, and I would just watch. And that became something that I I taught myself, but out of observing and watching.
So you never
Uh,
took, okay, so you taught yourself. So when you would watch them, you would come home and want to do like practice on anyone
yeah,
particular?
on anyone anyone who wanted to be a victim at that time, right? And,
Victim.
like cousins, friends, and they would let me, and it became something that I, started perfecting. And in my younger days, I worked in a lot of barbershops without a license. And I actually picked up a lot of technique from a lot of from owners of these barbershops. And I picked up technique. And one thing I always tell everybody is, once you develop technique in whatever you're doing, your tools will do the work for you. Invest in your tools, and they will do the work for you if you develop your technique. And I'm fortunate though that I had a lot of great, you know, owners and leaders that they showed me a few things and I ran with it. And
Is there is there
that,
anything,
mhm.
oh sorry. Is there anything like, okay, barber, but when you were a little boy, like, have you ever watched a show on TV and said, I want to be that when I don't know if you guys ever did this, but when we were kids, you would watch TV with your cousins and you would see, oh, that's me. No, that's me. No, that's me. I'm that person. Thundercat. I'm Shatara. I'm this. You know,
Yeah, of course,
did
of
you
course,
that's
of
I
course.
guess that's where I'm at with
I
it.
grew
I'm
up
trying
watching.
to get to, yeah.
Of course, I mean, unrealistically, I wanted to be, I grew up watching Knight Rider, and I wanted to
That's
be
what I'm
Knight
talking
Rider
about.
because he had Kit. You know, he had a
That's
talking car. You
that's what
know,
I'm
like
talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Like not
right.
things that you can't even that
But
you
the
know what I'm talking about.
like, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
Captain Planet was the OG too. You know,
Yes,
Captain who?
Captain
of
Planet.
course, Captain Planet, Captain Planet. You know, but when it comes down to um, you know, shows and cartoons and stuff like that, I love that was my jam. But um, you know, I look at you know, Knight Rider. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to go back, but you know, what comes to my memory is, you know, Knight Rider with
Knight
Kit.
Rider.
That was my
That
that
was
was my,
cool.
right. There was another one. I'm
Okay.
trying to remember what it was called. It had to do with like lightning. I forget his name. I'm trying to. I'll probably have to come back to that one. I'll probably have to come back to that
Mm.
one.
Well, I
But
like that.
yeah,
That's dope though. Knight Rider, Kid, Barbara as well, a sports person, an athlete. I could see all that. I could
Hmm.
see all that. Knight Rider. In a lot of ways, we all becoming Knight Rider because we can speak to Siri now.
That's true.
Siri, what you doing? I am here. I'm in the car. Look, I just said Siri and my phone is moving. Siri, what you doing? It's to who? It's talking to me. What you doing, Siri? What you doing? To who is asking me to who? You see what I'm saying? All these gadgets. All these gadgets.
man.
Now I'm gonna ask you one more question about your childhood.
Yes.
So what was the item or thing that you always wanted that
Ooh.
people would look at you and say, "Kid, when you get older, there will be better things." You know, that thing like, "Oh my God, by the time you get older, you can buy yourself 20 of those or something like that." But you were like, "No, I want it now." Like, you know what I'm talking about. What's that thing you wanted? That thing. If you ever like anything you remember
Um,
that you wanted and you didn't get, but you wanted. Why am I asking these questions? I do not know.
I don't. You
Jesus.
know what? I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to sound boring, right? I don't want to
Oh,
sound
you break
boring.
up a little.
I grew up really simple. I grew up really simple. I've had Christmases where I just get a bucket of Army Men and I'll be happy.
Okay.
You know, I
Yeah.
I never really wanted too much. And it's a good question. That's a good question. But as far as
It doesn't have to
material
be much.
things,
Remember, it doesn't have to be materialistic. It could be. It doesn't have to be materialistic because I'm not saying that. I
yeah,
grew up very
growing up,
humble too. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I
It's
mean,
just something
growing
that you're
up,
like, damn, that's nice. I would like to have that. Like,
Hmm.
well,
it
growing
doesn't
up,
have
you
to.
know, growing up in the
Yeah,
city too, you know, I wanted, you know, a nice car, you know, a
a
Grand
car,
Marquis,
which
Crown Vic,
a Grand Marquis.
you know,
Wow,
with
Grand
some rims
Marquis.
on it, you know. Um, uh, I wanted, I see these things and I wanted that. Uh, you know, I always wanted a lot of jewelry and I would get jewelry and I'd lose it all. I lose all my to the point where I just stopped wearing jewelry. Um, you know, but I would say things like that. You know, I always wanted nice clothes. There was before it got to the point where I could get it for myself. I actually used to just make my own clothes. I remember
Nice.
Really?
I would buy, you know, bandanas and whatever it is. I would cut off the logos off of old hats and hand sew them on pants, on shirts.
Okay.
You know, I was hand painting shirts, drawing. You know, it would look legit, but I would, if something got worn out, I'd remake it into something else.
All right.
And yeah, like
Recycling,
I
right?
right
Shout out to Def Poetry. You're about to
man,
get a new line of clothes, right? Def
right,
Poetry
Okay.
clothes. You know.
right now. Now I always wanted nice clothes. I remember quick story. It was one winter. I was walking to school, and I tell I tell people about this because it's like it was a lesson right away, right? But I actually was walking to school one morning. It was winter, snow on the street, and I'm walking and I look in the corner of my eye and I see something and I stop and I turn back around and I circle it and I walk back and it was on the street and I pick it up and it was a white envelope and I pick it up and I walk a couple more blocks and I open it and it's $500 in there, right?
Mm.
Wow.
And hey, I kept it, right? It was on the street. It was on the street. It wasn't in
As
front
you
of
should
nobody's
have.
house. Now, uh, I remember
Wow.
I went to right after school. I caught the train. I went to Philly, and I went to Dr. Denham's or
Oh,
Bless.
excuse me. So I'm
I
talking
went to
about you.
Dr. Denham's or Dr. J's, and I remember back then that was when you can go into a clothing store and you can kind of like they they shoot you a high price and you kind of like bargain with them.
Mm-hmm.
You still think you get a good price. And I remember I bought a pair of Bo Jacksons, a velour suit,
Wow, the Bo Jackson.
a velour outfit, and maybe like two t and my $500 was gone. Right,
Oh, you got robbed.
right. But I was so happy with with this fresh
Mm-hmm.
gear that I ended up giving away.
Mm.
And later on in retrospect, I'm just like, that was just a lesson. I got to tell people like, damn, like that was one of my first bad investments. It taught me a lot, and it also taught me how fast money could go.
Absolutely.
Things that are so temporary, and that was a big lesson for me because I was a little salty after the fact. 'Cause I'm like, I could have done so much with it.
How
You
old
know,
were you?
man, I was probably like 14, 15.
Don't
Ooh,
give
that's a
yourself.
lot.
I mean, you're 14 years old.
I don't care no more, but it was definitely a lesson I was able to share with people. Like, you know,
Right. Yeah, you were 14. Like, don't beat yourself up. You were 14 years old. You did
right?
good.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You didn't
Yo, I
go
was,
to buy, you bought clothes.
yeah,
Like,
right,
I could
right,
see if you bought a whole bunch of candy, but you bought
right.
clothes.
Exactly. You are
Well, I probably
close.
would have done. Hey, I probably would have done that too, because back in the day, $1 would get you far at the corner store.
That's
Man,
what I'm
look.
talking about.
Ooh.
Right, right.
Oh, don't you miss those, Miss Cheesecake? The little jellies, the
Oh,
fishes.
yes. The little caramels, the Boston baked beans, the little
Oh,
fishes.
Boston baked beans, peanut chews.
Boston baked beans.
Yeah,
Miss Cheesecake. Oh my
yeah,
God.
that
The Charleston chews and the peanut
Mm-hmm.
chews.
peanut chews,
Oh.
Chico
dark caramel,
sticks, cinnamon
yeah,
rolls.
Pico sticks. Oh man, the
Why am I
bubblicious
acting like
scoops
a fiend right
inside.
now? I really won't.
Laffy Taffies.
Yeah,
Laffy Taffies. Oh my
saltwater taffies,
Mm-hmm.
goldfish,
God. Those were
penny.
good.
Man,
I used to
uh,
like the fishes, the little fishes.
yeah,
They were
The
they
Swedish
were a
fish.
penny.
a
Oh
penny.
Mm-hmm.
my God, a penny. That
Yeah,
little brown paper bag, boy.
that thing be
I
full.
had. Oh, do
Mm-hmm.
y'all remember the squirrels? Am I the only one that used to? We call them squirrels. It looked like caramel. I guess that's what you call them. We used to call them squirrels in the Bronx.
The
Um,
cowtail,
the who?
cowtails.
No, it looked like caramel. It was like a little block, but it was
Yes,
caramel.
those were my
Yeah.
favorite.
We
Mm-hmm.
call them squirrels. We used to call them squirrels. I don't know why. It was like, give me 5 squirrels. And then they had this little peanut thing too. Oh my God. They were called squirrels. I was like, I want 5. They were 5 cents because they were thick.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like I want 5 of those. And it was oh, I remember.
I,
Mm-hmm.
I remember back then. We used to get all together and we used to ride. We ride dirt bikes and four wheelers and the mini bikes all around the
Yep.
city. That was definitely a highlight.
Oh, the big
And
wheels.
yeah, just having fun with that. Mountain bikes. Kids was on bikes. We was on bikes. We knew where everybody was at
We was
by
outside.
looking at bikes, right? And that was really a highlight. Uh, and I remember the first time I went to the desert and actually drove or rode a four wheeler. I didn't know what
Nice.
to do with myself because that was the first time really riding in the dirt. You know,
Wow.
but
That's
yeah,
crazy.
bringing it back, thinking about it now, I definitely had a lot of fun in my youth.
Mhm.
I I maxed out as far as having fun, being outside, and you know we was jumping off buildings. I can't believe it. We jump off buildings. You know,
That's crazy.
some of them doing backflip. I wouldn't do no backflip, but I jump off. You know,
That's
Mhm.
such an inner city thing in New York, in the Bronx. That's all they crazy. I don't know. They jump on top of the train while it's moving. I posted
Oh
a
hell.
video on my IG. They would just be like standing on top of the train while the train's moving, like on the top.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that was a thing. And then I remember
Oh.
in public school, they used to have the police and YPD used to come and give us like, these briefings about what we shouldn't do to scare us, right? Because they would put this movie and they would say, do you do this? This is what happens when you do this. And then you see the legs broken, the blood, and we're like, I'm never gonna do that. You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
they're showing you like how bad it was. Do you do this? Jump, the kids jumping. This is what happens when that happens. And do you take drugs? This is what happened when it's, it was like fierce, scare
yeah.
straight pretty much,
Mhm.
the fear factor. Um, so I kind of like, yeah, they were
And
very brutal.
Dare was really big. Dare program
Oh
was
There,
yeah.
it was
Oh
big.
yeah.
That's it right there. They had all that.
yep,
No jumping
Dare,
cars and trains and elevators and
Smokey the
Mhm.
because
Bear.
the
Smokey
things
the
we
Bear.
do, the things that the city kids do, it's a little different from being, when I'm here in Puerto Rico and Borinquen and I speak to my coworkers and I speak to about their childhood, it's a little different. They talk about being, in the grass and the beach and certain things, and meanwhile I'm over here like just trying to get to the 15th floor.
Yeah,
Our games were like, well, go up to the 21st floor, bang the door, run down, and we throwing things
Mhm.
out the window, boom, I hit you, and like, yay, and this is not cool, but
I was an
we opening the
entrepreneur.
hydrant, the pump, right? And then wet the cars and
Mhm.
I
it's
was an
city.
entrepreneur. I would take the raffle tickets and the cookie tin from the church, and if I found something I could raffle, I would knock on door to door, and I would sell whatever I had in my hand and raffle
Oh
it
my
for a dollar,
goodness.
$2, and
That was
and
way before y'all.
I remember,
We
you
do
know,
poetic justice,
I remember people, I remember people laughing and still giving me the money. I never remember one person like, no, this is fake, you scamming me. And I just remember the adults actually like, okay, we gonna give here, knowing they ain't never go win no raffle, you know. Um, but yeah,
and you would say the
I was
church. This is a raffle
yeah,
for the church. Can you tell us?
yeah.
Okay, act like we're at the door. And you're knocking on the door. What
Right.
would
Do
you
you
do?
remember your pitch? Oh my goodness.
I want to see what you do. Tell me,
I'll be
tell me.
like I
Yes.
take
How
one of
can I help
I,
you, little boy?
I take something from my mom's jewelry box and I bring the box and everything. And I'll be like, hi, we're raffling this necklace from for our church, and we're only
No one.
raffling it for $2. And if you win,
Aw.
you can win this lovely necklace. And I give it to them.
Oh.
They be laughing, And I remember this, and they just looking at it, And nobody got me for it, but they put it back in, and they'd be like, all right, well, how much are the raffle? Oh, just $2, sir. And sure enough, I come back with a whole tin full raffles going and tin full of money. And
And you
you
go to
know,
the candy store?
oh yeah. But you know what's crazy is I would make all this money, and I grew up with a lot of cousins, a big family,
Mhm.
and I, that money would go so fast because I was so quick to take care of everybody. Like, come on, field trip. We going to the corner store.
Yes.
That's where we go. Or we going to, we going to Louis Records, and we're gonna go get uh, some electronics. I might have got a cassette player and a new stereo, but I was always giving it away. So I don't regret that. It was fun. It made it fun.
Mhm.
But yeah, I was a little entrepreneur back in the day for sure. That was fun.
Shout out to you with that. I love that. I love that. That's so dope. Man, before we go on, because we have poetry. We really
Oh,
do have poetry. I know we're talking a lot today, but it's interesting. We're gonna get into it because everything has to do with our childhood. Believe it or
Yeah.
not, it does. I find myself talking about things that I feel like it's for the poetic clinic. And there's
mm.
something going on. It's you guys. It's you, Miss Cheesecake. It's you. It's all your fault. It's you and Granny with your psychological stuff. No, but I love it. I love it. I think it's so important. I love that you guys are doing that. You're doing the damn thing. On that note, what I feel like doing, just so that we are definitely uh, reminding everyone that in case you miss Poetic Clinic, okay, you know that Poetic Clinic is every Monday. But we are going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back.
When my mind gets weary and my eyes get teary, I open my heart and bare my soul. The poetry begins to unfold. As I write or as I type, I capture the rhythm of my life. Happy moments, but also pain and strife. Poetry is my water, it's my life. Healing to my soul through joy and strife. Absolute beauty unfolds, carrying me into stories untold. It's my life, it's my soul. Poetry. Each word a drop, each line a stream, flowing through my hopes and dreams. The healing power takes control, bringing peace to my weary soul.
Hey, we back. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that video and I love that intro. You guys are doing the damn thing with that show. Don't
Shout out.
forget, y'all. Shout out to Miss Cheesecake and shout out to Granny Wowzers. You guys are doing great. I love it. I learned so much. If I'm learning, you're learning. You make sure you guys watch that on Mondays, okay,
Yes.
at 5 p.m. It is the Poetic Clinic with Miss Cheesecake as your host and Granny Wowzers as your co-host. And
Tune
excellent
in.
poetry.
Tune in. You don't
Take
want to
some
miss that
notes.
show. You don't want to miss
Yeah,
that show. They dive
that's
into
right.
mental health, mental awareness. Uh, you know, and it's never it's never a dull moment. You guys really cover a lot of topics. You guys really have a beautiful show. If you guys haven't checked it out already, please go check that out.
Make
Miss
sure you
Cheesecake,
do.
Miss Cheesecake.
Hmm.
Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back
Bring it
to
back.
the days, the childhood. What are some some dreams and what you wanted to be?
Ooh, it was three things. Three things that showed up for me. Number one, I wanted to be a writer. I always loved music and I always loved poetry, but I always wanted to write. My mother
Mm,
was a poet, so I read a lot of her poetry books. That was number one. Yeah, I wanted
that's
to always
dope.
do that. I would study her.
That's
I
so
would
dope.
love to hear you. Like, if you have any of her poetry, like you should come out here. And if you still have anything from anything that remained, any of that, that would be beautiful to come out and hear some of her poetry if you still have it. I mean, I know it's dear, but like I think that would be beautiful, you
Oh
know?
yeah. I personally don't have anything. I could check in with my elders. They might have something of hers.
Yeah.
And if they do, I need that.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Absolutely. If you're watching, okay, family, Miss Cheesecake's family, the cake
Yeah.
family. No, make sure y'all give Miss Cheesecake an insight look into her mother's poetry. That is beautiful. Anything, a journal, that'll be beautiful. I'm
Hmm.
all in it. I'm just saying because I could see that. That would mean so much.
So
That's beautiful.
you would say your mother inspired you to write poetry.
Absolutely. Yes. She used to read to me. Those are some of the fond memories that I do have before she passed. She used to read to me. She would sing. So music and poetry was definitely like the first love. Um,
Wow.
so I started writing, I think around like 6 or 7.
What
Um, little, little
little
haikus
notes?
and yeah, the little kitty poems and stuff like that. But I would read hers. Um, and I would be inspired to want to write like that. So I would just, go off to myself and write my own little stuff. I wish I still had my poetry books from when I was younger. I lost a lot in a house fire when I was 10. Um, Secondary, Inspector Gadget, number one, when it comes to the
Ooh,
TV. That was my show. That was
ooh.
my show. You couldn't tell me
Don't
nothing.
throw
Uh,
balloons in the water. You
Hmm.
better watch out. Oh
Hmm.
man.
right. You brought it back.
Hmm.
Man.
Inspector Gadget was definitely an inspiration, which led on to, um, as a child, that was the thing. I was always curious. I was always mischievous. I always wanted to be in the know. So as a
Oh.
kid, that was my favorite show. And then, of course, kids being kids, I come
Hmm.
across the remote, and I come across a TV show, and that struck the interest to be a medical examiner. I wanted to do forensic
Oh.
pathology. I wanted to do that. That
But
was a passion.
wow. You
That's
an interesting
yeah,
child. I swear.
yeah,
I
That was
love
interesting.
that.
Very interesting.
Smart too, intelligent.
yes.
That's beautiful. And what else was Cheesecake, man? I'm in it. Let's go. What else? Inspector Gadget. She said, "Oh my God, a medical examiner."
Hmm.
Yo,
Yes.
what else?
I actually used to watch a show. This was a little morbid for kids to be watching, but I used to watch a show on TV called Autopsy. And
Michael Baden.
Michael Baden. Yep.
Stop.
I'm dead
My
serious.
favorite. I used to love Dr. Michael Baden. Remember, he
Hmm.
had the glasses. It was like
Hmm.
her last meal was she just finished eating some peas, so it looks like the temperature. I mean, I used to be like, how he figured that out?
Yep.
Mm, mm.
You
Yeah,
used to watch
baby.
that?
Hmm. That was my
Wow.
favorite show. I still watch it to this day. When I get some time, I go back and watch it.
They still
Yeah.
have it, right?
Yeah.
They
Oh, it's
still
on
showing
YouTube.
it.
Yeah, you could.
Oh, Michael Baden.
Hmm.
I used to love me Michael Baden, boy.
Hmm.
That was good. And so what else? So wait, so you weren't afraid when you would watch that?
No,
Like, because a lot of people, they would show,
of
like
course.
he was
No, I
all
was never bothered. Actually, there was a situation to where was already watching that show, and then there was a situation in school to where the university up here had brought live organs for all of the students to, see. And this is what happens, when you become an organ donor. This is what healthy organs look like. This is what, non-healthy organs look like. And they let us touch them. Every other kid in there was screaming and running around scared. I'm like, ooh, kidneys. This is nice. It was.
he said kidneys. You know what? That's dope though. I think you and I would have been best friends back when we were
Mhm.
because I would have my sister would freak out, but I would be just like that.
Yep.
Even seeing blood, I'm like, no, look, let's just try to help it. Like,
Hmm.
and a lot of people think you're weird because of that.
Always.
Did you get that look? Like they'll look at you like this. Even adults will look at you like she's
Oh
so
yeah,
strong.
they thought I was a strange cookie right there. They was like, what? You're not afraid of this? Not at all. This is nice. I'm learning something. That's all I wanted to do was learn."
That's interesting. I got a question though. Now that you say it like that, when they take blood out when you kids and you gotta get. Were you one of those that didn't want? Because I would look at them, put it in my vein, and my mom would always look at me like,
Nope.
and I wouldn't jump. I would just wait there, and I think I was trying to be so strong, and I want to ask you, how did you feel when they did things like that? Like take your blood. A lot of people don't want to see. Are you one of those that look at people like when they doing it? Like I be
Oh
looking at
no.
everybody.
I turned into a toddler. That's the funny part about it. I turned into a toddler. You getting ready to
Oh,
stick me? I'm not looking. No.
wow.
Mm-mm.
See, I always thought I was a freak because of that. Because I just, it's not that I enjoyed it. I felt the pain, but I got a kick out of
Watching it.
watching it and watching people look at how strong I was
Hmm.
as a child. I really was kind of weird like that. I would be like, watch me. I'm gonna look at you. Look at the needle. Go like that. And my mom and they was like, oh, you're such a brave girl. I was like, man, little. And I was just look at it and just
You were,
hold the pain.
were
I don't care.
curious.
I gotta go to the poetic clinic. I think I gotta get evaluated because I remember that now. Just when you said about the organs and the blood, like I just remembered I used to do that, and I still do.
Hmm.
Like when they be like, "This is gonna hurt a little," and I just be like, "He's foolish mortal. Go ahead." You know what I mean? Like I'm one of those, and I'm not a junk. You know, I don't take drugs, so it's just one of those mental. I'm
Mm-hmm.
strong type person, but we'll
Mind
get
over
to me
matter.
later. Yeah, we'll get to me later. But so you do kind of cringe when you were a toddler.
Oh
When
yeah.
you get like a toddler, you said. All right. But the fact that you saw organs, how old were you when you would look at the organs?
I was about 8 or 9.
That's what I'm saying. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody was sick and they got cut, would you help or would you just be
Absolutely.
like, "Oh, I'm scared."
No, I would jump right in because I was doing that anyways. I think that was probably the reason why it wasn't a bother to me because I was already doing that at home. My grandmother was type 2 diabetic and an amputee.
Mm,
So I was cleaning wounds at a very
Yeah.
early age. So there was no fear of blood or anything of the sort. Now, of
okay.
course, it was a little cringe because anytime you're dealing with surgical stuff, it's a smell. So it's like, I'm a kid, but I wasn't fearful of it at all. Mm-mm.
Got
Right.
you. Wow, you were
Oh,
grown up. You were very mature. Like
Mm-hmm.
so did you play any games at home like, okay, Def, I forgot to ask you this question too. Um because when we were kids, I grew up in housing. Right? I grew up in
Mm-hmm.
housing. We call it NYCHA, New York City Housing Authority. I grew up on the 15th floor. Shout out to 680 Tinton Avenue over there on John Adam houses. And so because we couldn't really be outside because it was kind of, crazy out there, a lot of Nino Browns, right?
Okay.
So my mom was like, no, there was always an operation, FBI coming in, breaking in, boof, boof, and going in and doing in different apartments. We pretty much stayed home. The
Mm-hmm.
question I have is that I remember uh, mom saying, "Well, you're safe here. We're safe here in the house. You don't need to be downstairs, outside
Mm-hmm.
in the park. And if you go to the park, I'm going with you. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
not going by yourself." There were a lot of kids who were by themselves. Their parents were home upstairs, and the kids were by themselves playing around. But my mom didn't. So she said she had a lot of board games. We had board games in the house. We played a lot of, board
Mm-hmm.
games, Monopoly, cards. But then we had those games that we created.
Yep.
And our games, my sisters and I, this is why I ask about childhood. And I've been thinking a lot about my childhood lately, a lot. And I'm saying this, Def, we would create these games at home, such as let's play school. I'm
Yep.
the teacher. My sister wanted to be a teacher, so she always wanted to play that game.
Mm-hmm.
She became a teacher. The other one was like, let's play cashier. Like we're in the supermarket. I'm the cashier, and
oh,
you bring the stuff, and I'll ring it up. I'm the cashier, and we would play like supermarket. These are the games we played. I'm just telling you. Call me cheese nugget. And so she would be like $10 and make believe that this is the cashier. And she actually does numbers. That's what she does for a living. She's a finance
Wow.
manager for Columbia University, 30 years, right?
Okay.
Then it came to me. What you playing? I want to play catching the bad guys, right? I want to play that. And I want to play church. I always wanted to play church.
Okay.
Now, I'm not going to get into it. I'm going to get to it later. What
yeah.
did you play in your house? What did you play, Def, when you were kids that you created the game?
Well,
Ooh.
I mean, all right. So we had fun growing up. And for one, we grew up watching a lot of boxing, right? So I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna say we hated it, but we grew up fighting, even in the streets. But one thing we did, we wrapped socks around our fists like they was boxing gloves, and we would
Oh,
fight,
shoot.
and the
Fight
sock would come
Club.
loose. You get hit with a clean one. That's what we did. Another,
Man.
I remember
You played boxing?
He
with
had
socks.
Fight Club at home.
Fight
Yeah,
club at home? Shout out to Camden.
fight club at
Deep
home
South
for
Camden.
real. Now we
Gosh.
you know skating through the house with socks on the upstairs.
Mm.
I did that
We
one.
had that little mini pool table with the little springy stick. Or
Mm-hmm.
we be yeah, we be playing pool. Let me see. Oh man, it's so much. When it comes to making up games. You know, like I said, we had the little army men, little boys, you know, playing with toys, cars. Um, you know, we was always throwing a ball around in the house, even though we wasn't supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, wrestling was big back then. That's when we thought it was real. So we you best believe we practiced the wrestling moves on everybody, on the little cousins, and you know, we jack them up. They start crying. We got to try to keep them. You know what I mean? Try to make them stop crying.
Sheesh.
Uh, Let me see. Uh, you know, we would play you know, cops and robbers type. Nah, you know what? Probably not. We played tag, a lot of hide and seek.
Oh yeah.
Uh, you freeze tag, suicide. It's like handball, but with the, you know,
Mm-hmm.
basically if you drop it, you got to run to the wall, and before you
Mm-hmm.
get hit with the ball. Uh,
Okay. Sheesh.
and
That's a lot right there. I mean, I get the picture.
right, uh, we
Miss
used
Cheesecake,
to
what did you do?
what, you know,
What
Ooh.
we used to sick the dog on the family members we don't like, on the cousins we don't like. You know, they always it's
that
always
was
one
a game?
scared of the dogs. Yeah,
Little heathens.
yep,
Little
yep.
Who
heathens.
are you? Who are you? What are you?
Yeah. We
He
had
was a
fun.
little heathen.
Wait,
My
wait. Did you
goodness.
throw things out the window?
Yes, we threw things. We threw rocks at cars.
But you guys weren't on a high floor though, right?
No, we wasn't on a high
See,
floor. I
y'all
mean, we would.
bold throwing things out the window from a low floor.
Yeah,
Right?
I
Bold.
mean, we throw stuff at cars. We would put. Hey, you kids, right? But you know, we would put a nail on the street. You know, and we would sit there and wait and see if cars around. Yeah,
Miss
we was.
Cheesecake. Do you
Yes.
hear this, Miss Cheesecake?
Side eye. Side eye.
And he's a Marine. A Marine. Man.
Wintertime, wintertime, ice ball fights, not
Oh,
snowball fights,
listen.
ice ball fights. Get hit with a,
Who
yeah.
are you? Okay.
That's what I said, Miss Cheesecake. Who are you and what are you?
Bombastic side eye. Woo.
All right, we gotta go back to Miss Cheesecake here, because
See, that was
you,
Oh
that was the past.
goodness.
That was
you,
the
you.
past. That was the past, y'all.
Oh, but I'm glad you're sharing though, because it tells us. You see what? That's the whole
Mm-hmm.
point of it, Miss Cheesecake. I want to know. I want to know
Yeah.
because as you're not like that.
No.
You're not like that. He's like the one of very, very caring, very loving,
Laid back
very
chill.
right, chill. Like, but you would have never known he throwing you, putting a little thing so a car could, and
Yeah.
we don't even know the danger. That's another thing. That
Right.
was
Mm-hmm.
actually the
We don't.
question I had,
Yeah.
because the things we loved doing when we were kids, we had no idea they were dangerous,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
right? So back to Miss Cheesecake.
Mm-hmm.
If there's any games you played and what's something that was dangerous that kind of piggybacking on what Def was saying, is there,
Um,
yeah.
so common games, like I love board games. I always loved games and
True.
strategy. One of my favorite board games was Clue.
Ooh.
Um, let me see. We did all the atypical relay race, hide and seek, hide and go get it.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Um, Ding Dong Ditch, we did all of that. We would run up and down the streets with batons. We would play track. One of my favorite ones was to play school. I was the professor. Um,
All right,
Yeah,
dope.
I could see that. I
I
could
was
see
the
that.
professor. And then when it came into doing the little heathen activities, I used to like to play casinos. So I made my own little game. I would get a deck of cards and I
Uh-oh.
oh yeah, I was off the chain. I had a deck of cards. I had my jacks with the ball, and then I would have Monopoly money. So we in there placing bets
Oh,
on the card games.
that's fun.
Yeah, we was bad. We was.
What the heck?
Mm-hmm. We
Y'all
first we
making
was
me look
using
like a
Monopoly
prude.
money.
You guys are making me look like a cheese ball.
I was I was a little bit bad. I would use the Monopoly money at first, but then we started getting allowances and stuff for Christmas and different holidays. So now we betting for real. Like, oh yeah, I'm about to put 20 on that, 10 on that, and then now I done hustled everybody out their money. Now they mad at me, and then they go
Mm.
tell grandma, "No, I would never I would never do anything like that. And they would piss me off. And then I would go outside and throw rocks at them or throwing rocks at the cars. Let me see. we would,
That's crazy.
we was,
That's
yeah.
crazy. That's so smart though. Like she had a casino
Mhm,
and then she had the ball and the
That's
Monopoly money.
smart.
And
mhm.
did
That's
you grow up in a casino? Like, what did you
My
go?
dad, my dad was a gambler.
Oh, look, you
Hmm.
see? You see
Hmm.
what I'm saying? So we see this. We
Yep.
see these things and we play.
Hmm.
Man,
that's
that's
fun.
amazing. That's dope, this cheesecake for real. It's kind of like it's lovely. I love that. Um, all right, I'm gonna read something when I get into my stuff. I'm only gonna read the first and the second paragraph is a lengthy essay that I wrote. This essay, by the way, was the essay that I wrote to for law school. I was
Okay.
actually applying for law school at one time when I was at MSSU, and this was my entrance exam. I mean entrance essay, the admission statement.
Okay.
It's called Little by Little. I won't read the whole thing. It's very lengthy. It's about uh it's very lengthy, but I'm only going to read two paragraphs. Um, Here we go. I never do this neither, but we're going to try. Let me put on my. Do I have my reading glasses? Give
Where
me one
are those
second, y'all.
spectacles?
Yes, where's the reading glasses? I'll be right back, y'all. But I'll be right back.
All right, all right.
Yeah, now. So, shoot, I was up to, I definitely had fun with it. I mean, we was out there. We fought a lot. Growing up, we fought a lot. Uh, you had to have tough skin,
Oh yeah.
and but the thing,
I'm here.
everybody was okay after the fact.
I'm right back,
You
y'all.
fought somebody, and you be all right. You see them again, you go hug their mother. Like you might be in their house playing with them right after that.
Don't I look
So
weird?
You look like a teacher. Yes, teach us.
This feels weird, right? I never wear glasses. But this is a very old essay. So the print is like this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking many moons ago. I wrote this. Um, it's part of my Badge of Pearls writings. I actually, this is copywritten, all this. So it's called Little by Little. It was a hot and steamy afternoon, and the temperature felt like 100 degrees. Children of all ages splashed water from sprinklers and chased each other with cups filled with water as they smiled with immaculate joy. Among many other children that summer, I climbed on my favorite monkey bars and pretended to be an Olympic gold medalist gymnast in the confines of my South Bronx housing community. Despite loud music screaming from large stereos, I could hear adults yelling as my mother was being severely beaten by my stepfather. Thus, at the age of 4, I was introduced to domestic violence, the criminal justice system, and social services.
Mm.
After visiting several police precincts, courtrooms, and hospital emergency rooms, I developed a sense of comfort and deep trust in the adults wearing the serious uniforms. I loved the men and women in blue, police officers, court clerks, doctors, and social workers became people I respected, obviously, a result of my every other weekend face to face encounters with them. I didn't know their exact job descriptions, but I was convinced that as an adult, I was going to help families in situations like mine one day. So a social worker asked, "What are you going to be when you grow up?" I replied, "A police officer, a court person, the Bionic Woman, Wonder Woman, a Charlie's Angel, Edie Chacon, a teacher, a writer with my own business." When she asked me how I planned to be so many things, my response was, little by little. I know now that I can be all those things and more as a police officer and anything I want to do.
Mm.
I laugh It's funny when we talk about being a bionic woman, a Charlie's Angel, Iris Chacon. And I'm gonna tell you, y'all know who Iris Chacon. I'm gonna tell y'all in a minute. But when we're children, you mentioned something about the casino
Mm-hmm.
because you saw dad. I saw mom get severely beaten at the age of 4.
Mm.
I was not able to do anything, but I remember watching TV shows, even cartoons, where there were women who were powerful.
Yep.
They were picking up men and throwing them against the wall. And I was saying, when I grow up, I'm going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't doing it because I wanted to be, I just wanted to save my mom, to be there. And
Mm-hmm.
so when we would go to the supermarkets, or when we would go to the cleaners, or when we would go to the courtrooms, or we would go to social services, they always put you in a little room to play with toys and stuff like that. The lady that comes out, you're sitting in a waiting room. Um, Isabella Bay, please come with us. And then my mom would be like, kids, let's go. And it was a social worker making my mom with a black eye with the shades. And we're little, they talking to us to make sure we're not getting beat up. I knew that the person with the folder that was standing there calling us, they were trying to help us at a small age. I knew that. I knew they were good people.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that when the cops came, they were gonna stop things, right? I knew that the local person that would look at us come in with my mom with the black eye, the business person, kind of feel bad, the one that owned the shop, he would be like, "You want a little candy? You want a little squirrel? You want a cookie?" Because they kind of like, I knew they were good people.
Mm-hmm.
It's something called energy discernment. I've had it since I was born. I just know that you're a good person. Like I
Mm-hmm.
feel it. Like a cat feels that you're not a good person. They kind of like, but when
Mm-hmm.
I know that. I've had that since I was born. Put it that way. I know that. I will never deny that. So when I speak on when I was a child, my dreams, my biggest dream was to dance, because when I danced, I didn't remember any of those things that I just mentioned.
Mm.
When I danced, I would turn around, I would split, I would just plie. I wasn't that little girl that I saw, just all those visuals of the things that I was seeing at the age of 4, 5, 6, all the way till. And I remember my mom saying, and I remember my uncle showing me a video of me being very, very small, like maybe 3 or 2. I don't know. I was very little, looked like a toddler. And they were playing music. You know those silent movies? Okay, that's how
Mm-hmm.
old, you know, the old ones back in the day. I remember when my uncle was alive, Uncle Felix, he showed me one of those videos, and he says he doesn't talk. He didn't talk. He was deaf mute. Like he didn't speak, and he did sign language. And he was showing me. He was like, "Watch you, you're moving," and I'm like, "Huh?" And when I came up, there's a little girl. That was me, and I was like I was like shaking, right? So I don't know what they were listening to because you can't hear what they're doing. I couldn't really hear what they were doing. And my mom would say that that's what I would do. I always dance in the middle of a store, clothing store, have dancing in front of people. And, she was like looking for me, like, she's like, "It's your daughter." That's that daughter. She dances. And like a crowd, look, look at that. And I'm over here doing all this, dancing and trying to be Edie Chacon, the Spanish lady, Puerto Rican lady who danced and everything. And every time they would ask me, "I want to be Edie Chacon too." Like she got picked up and they would pick her up like that. And all I'm saying is that's what I wanted to do, right? But there was something about dancing and playing a strong, like Wonder Woman, Bionic Woman, picking up, throwing things, trying to act like I had superpowers, being able to hear. My mom would say, "Hey, you want to be Wonder Woman? You better eat that food. I have seconds, please, because I want to be strong." You know, that strong thing that I wanted to be strong. So I think when we talked about the needle, I think that's where it came from. I
Mm.
think from just saying like I'm strong, I'm gonna be that. And I'm telling you, I don't know about most people, but I really believed I was Wonder Woman when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Like I felt like I was in training. I felt like I was bionic. And a Charlie's Angel, I'm the worst person to watch a movie. I will tell you who did the crime. Before the beginning, it starts. He's no good. That's a
Yep.
suspect. This way before me being a police officer, I'll just be like, ah, watch this one, watch this, and I'm really good at it. Why am I saying all this? Because writing, right? I will write all about these things that I'm telling you right now. I would sit, it would be like the journal, an outlet to speak on everything. Write it and write it and writing. Um, Hallmark cards, birthday
Mm-hmm.
cards. I would take the birthday cards, and back in the day, this girl named Denise, she had like a little Casio, like a piano thing. And I remember saying, I'm gonna write a song. I'm gonna sing a song. And what I would do, I would take all the Christmas cards, anything that said that rhymed, and I would sing it. Like if I don't know, I found a card that somebody gave to I don't know who it was. It wasn't to me because it was a grown-up card, but I was reading it, and I'll never forget how I was trying to sing it. Don't laugh at me, y'all. I remember the words were, I am here to love you. I am here to hold you. I am here to comfort you. I am here I don't know. And I remember that I didn't know what to do. So I was like, I am here to hold you. I am here to hear, I am here. And my sisters were like, oh, shut up. Like, what are you doing? But in my mind, y'all, I was singing a song.
Yeah, that was your song. You did
because
that.
because I was taking poetry and singing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you watch, and poetry, obviously, that's my thing. But one thing that I would never believe that I wouldn't be, which is the question. I mean, which is was really the question. Something that I really believed I was going to be, but I didn't dedicate myself to do it, was a dancer.
Mm.
Because if you would ask anyone that I was growing up with, you know, what do you think she became? Oh, she's probably dancing, teaching dance or something. Because I was a
Mm-hmm.
cheerleader, I was a dancer, I was in the arts. They would have never believed, well, they could kind of, because I love the Charlie's Angels, but they really wouldn't think that I was a cop,
Mm-hmm.
So I say all that to introduce our first poem of the night. It's called I Remember. I remember with Deaf Poetry, we wrote this together, and he speaks on a lot of things. He's doing his thing on this track, y'all. Um,
I had
I
fun. Now that brings me back to, you know, my my early 20s, being all around the tri-state, being in New York too, and just my youth and being outside, being involved in the hip hop scene and being active, networking and
yeah,
being just I didn't hesitate to jump on a bus, jump on a train, you know, and I felt comfortable being everywhere I was at. And so this track right here was fun. This track right here was fun. I had a man,
yeah.
and you killed it. So
It just, and I mean, after we get done with this, showing this, there's a lot of sides to childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, there's a lot of sides
yeah,
to childhood. There's a lot of things. First of all, Miss Cheesecake reminded me today that it's Mental Health Month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. May Mental Health Month. Ooh, I like the MMM. Yeah, seriously, Mental Health Month. And believe it or not, there's a lot of things that we experience as in childhood that we believe we're done with. But as we get like when we start writing songs like this one, I didn't realize when I wrote this how much I miss dancing.
Mm.
And it kind of like brought a tear to my eye the other day. I was like, I can't believe I forgot to dance. Like I didn't forget to dance, but I forgot that I'm a dancer.
Mm-hmm.
And when I hear this beat, it's it took me there. So enough talk.
yeah. I think
Go
after
ahead.
this show we can go let's go dance. You know what I mean?
I miss
That's
dancing. I
it.
really do miss
Yeah.
dancing, y'all. I do. I think, yeah, I miss dancing. And
Go
I miss roller
dancing.
skating. Roller skating. I forgot about that. That's another thing. Wait. roller skating. Oh, I forgot to answer the question. That's the question. One thing I always wanted were roller skates. Let me tell you why. Because we were poor. We weren't poor. We were poor. Poor. I shared one skate with my sister. I'm not lying. My sister will have one skate. Miss Cheesecake is the truth. This is why I work so hard. I'm humble. I keep it real, girl. It was rough. It was rough. It was
Oh, I
rough.
know. Trust
My
me.
sister
I
can tell
know.
you. PFR, if you're watching this, write something in the email on the website. Tell them the truth. You and I shared this fucking skate. She had one roller skate. I had the other, and we were like,
Yep.
we had nothing. So you know what I did? I wasn't shopping for it, but that's the one thing that I've always wanted. I wanted the beautiful roller skates, the pretty
Mhm.
pom pom, the cute outfit. So the other, like maybe a year ago, I was shopping. I wasn't looking for them, but I came across this nice store, this in the mall. I went in there. I was like, oh wow, oh this is a roller skating store. Girl, did you know I paid for 200 and something dollars roller skates? I was like, you are getting your skates. I sure did. They're there. Okay, after these messages, I'm gonna show you the damn skates. Okay, after this video, I used them twice, but I plan on using them soon. I'm gonna get my ass in shape, y'all.
Okay, go for it.
And I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna roller skate to this song right here.
There's something about this beat that keeps reminding me of my New York City dreams. I remember I was only 17, literally a dancing queen. Forever young, I thought I'll be. 'Cause I remember living rent-free obsessively. I remember in someone's head never pretending to be. How I remember someone I'm not instead I choose to see. I remember all my loving energy.
Yeah. Dead in the middle of the boogie, we was younger playing hooky like Bonnie and Clyde, they better book me. Those were the days all fun and games, skipping the fair, catching the train the way it took me.
How I remember.
Step through the city in these solemn nights, all the lights had me feeling like my game tight like Ray Rice with the Scarlet Knights. I used to roll the dice, gamble with my life with so many things I never thought
I
twice.
remember.
Tony eyes used to get mad from the block parties and the riffraff, leaving all the trash in the gift bag, drop it off, leave it on the stoop while we ran off and laughed in cahoots. All fun and games till the gig is over, bumping criminal minds as the bridge is over. I remember the battle ciphers gathered in Crotona. In Africa, Bambaataa really showed us how to master the track. Not only that, but how to master your path. I could never break dance, but I mastered my craft. Getting my hands on paid food was a classic to have. And the rhyme goes on, I perfected the jab, blending some jazz with some boogaloo. From one into another on the tables, yelling copy go. Remember, like it's out the blue, deja vu. This ain't a dream if it happened to you.
There's something about this beat that keeps reminding me of my New York City dreams. I was only 17, literally a dancing queen, forever young. I thought I'd be forever young. I remember it's the boogie down breeze, chasing after my favorite Mr. Saucy ice cream. I remember those barbecues. Oh, how I remember. Orchard Beach. Yeah, I remember. Something about this beat. I remember those block parties. Hip hop playing from the DJ speakers. Reminding about this beat that keeps reminding me. There's something about this beat that keeps reminding me. I remember. Boogie down breeze. Oh, how I remember. New York. Summer dreams in New York City.
You know, thank
Y'all
you.
did that. Okay.
You see how I was like, I remember? You know, I was like, I was only 17. There's a reason why I said what I said. But I want to
Man,
show you.
I had on that. Shout out to you.
Oh, can y'all see them? Damn, wait when that happens. There we go.
Okay. Yeah.
Y'all
Okay.
see this? Y'all see these beauties?
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't 200. They were 114 with tax, 150 because Puerto Rico's tax is super high. And they were the good ones, okay? Because I was like, I don't want the metal ones that we had because we
Right.
had bad ones. We had a metal, the little metal. It was bad. You know what I used to do? I used to take the beer cans. Okay, Def, I got a one up on you. Okay, I got a one up on you. You said you would do this and then boxing gloves. Okay, so why I would take the soda cans and put them on my sneakers and I would act like those were skates.
You know what's crazy? You talk about dancing. You talk about dancing. I used to put thumb, I
Yeah,
used to put
look.
thumbtacks on my
Okay,
shoes, and I'll be
hold on.
like tap dance stuff
Damn, they can't see it. Yeah. You used to put thumbtacks on what? You would
Wait,
tap
what?
dancing?
on the bottom of my shoes. I'll be like
Oh,
tap dancing and everything.
yo. That's a good one. That's a good one though. That's real good right
Yo,
there.
like for
Tap
real.
dancing.
That's
Nah, I
like
could
the
not.
WB frog, like you know what I mean?
I'm cracking up.
No, we
Yeah.
were crazy. I know Miss Cheesecake. We give him a cheesecake a headache with all this. Look, these are the. You see this? You see the way that girl looks, the old school retro.
Mm-hmm.
I see a little bit. I even went and I said, I'm getting me the socks.
Wow. She done
'Cause-
dug in the archives. Okay.
but listen,
Yes.
because it's back in style again, right?
It
So
is.
in San Juan, they brand new too. I roller skate around the whole house. I was in there like I put music bounce. Listen, y'all. What I'm saying is, I'm not one of them people that's gonna bully you because I didn't get what I want. I'm not that person. I work for mine. Okay, I work hard. But if I see something that I've always wanted and it's in my means, I'm gonna get it. And those skates right there, I'm about to use those skates. Especially to that song. So when I heard that song, I heard roller skating. I saw roller skating. I saw me dancing as a, just back in the day, like really, I actually really danced. Like I danced with a company. I danced. Like I danced. I really danced. I was on the cheerleading squad in high school. That's why I say it's kind of hard for people to say, like, you a cop? Like, because I was like, hey. So it's kind of like they could, and what I love about what Def is saying there, he's talking about just that whole vibe, that
Yeah.
whole vibe in New York. And it was very carefree. It was very
Mm-hmm.
carefree. People actually talk to each other. Your homegirls were your homegirls. We didn't text
Absolutely.
each other. I wasn't leaving the club without. And first of all, nobody clubs anymore. That whole club scene. If you see the video, you see like there's like a flyer with the Puerto Rican flag, and it said it had like a club there. I forgot the name of the club, but I remember we used to go to those clubs, and it was dope. It was dope. You couldn't wait till Friday night to go out and hang out with your friends. I don't think people do that anymore. I think it's
But
more.
Yeah, I mean clubbing, basement party. Oh my
right,
god.
the
That
basement
don't exist
parties.
no more.
Nobody's into
Yeah.
that, Miss
They
Cheesecake.
Strobe
don't
light, the
dance.
strobe light on, you can't see nothing, but you like, like
Nah, it
They
was
don't dance no
cool.
more. They
Or
just
even
sit
if,
in
yeah,
there on their
or
phones.
on their phone, like you were able to come over and play music, and it was a party.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Now they come over and everybody's like,
They're stiff.
I
Mm.
can't. I'm like, what is wrong with you? You know what I mean? Can y'all move?
Yep.
Um, Karaoke's coming back. A lot of people do karaoke. I see that. That's always a good starter.
Oh yeah.
But childhood, you kidding me? It was your friends were your friends. You would go out to eat with your people. Hey, let's go to. We will watch. Going to the movies, going to
The
the movies. I don't know about
drive-in.
in New York City.
Yeah,
We
that was
would
a
just
big
go with
thing.
a posse,
Yeah,
like
that was a big
friends.
thing.
It was
Movie
a big deal.
theater.
Wow, when
Yeah.
Juice came out back in the day, when Juice and
Yes.
all those movies came out, I was there with like no lie, like 10 of us in a movie theater, all of us in the Bronx watching the movie together. Because that was another thing. You had to walk in packs.
Of course.
I had to. I don't know why, but that was another thing. It was like it was weird. I love my childhood. It was crazy. There was a lot of
But it
dysfunction.
was fun.
Still going through it, but I had better. I think I had more fun than more sadness. But you know what I mean? It's a lot of stuff, but
It
we
was a
made
balance.
I thought it was a balance. I'm not making it up, man. I'm telling you. We don't have to over explain shit. We enjoyed ourselves, you know. Um Speaking about that, now I'm gonna ask you guys this other question, which we're gonna dive into Miss Cheesecake because we're diving right in. Was there anything when you were a child when you remembered that you said, I feel like I'm acting different, I'm being different? I'll give you an example. I read to you guys that I saw my mom get hit at 4 years old. Now, it wasn't just a hit, like a little. When I saw her eye, the eye, blood was coming down. Like it was completely boom. It was like it was just so bad. It was like a boxer's eye. Let me tell you what happened here. See, I think it was then where I became, because we all different now. I say that because my sisters is a lot of us, right? And I know how each one of us act when that happened. Now I'm the youngest. I have my sister PFR that you know who she is, PFR. She don't like to see blood because of that. She told me. I never understood. See, that's why you gotta listen to your family when they talk. See, when there's a boxing match, Puerto Ricans, Boricuas, we make a big deal. It's an event.
Oh yeah.
Right? It's an event. We even paint the house because people are coming over. Like, oh, we're cooking tonight. There's gonna be a boxing. Miguel Cotto's gonna fight, and the whole island is packed. We're talking about shit. I have people that be like, well, you know what? Next time I catch you, I will arrest you. I'm telling you right now.
I mean,
People,
even,
that's how
yeah. I mean, Felix Trinidad,
it's a big deal.
Trinidad Day. I was.
It's a big deal. So my point is that when all that is going on, my sister's not happy about it. She's like, "Oh, stupid boxing." I used to get upset with her. What do you mean? Why are you getting so upset? It's a boxing match. I don't like watching that. Why you guys like watching blood? Didn't know. All this time I'm thinking she's a prude. Up until she told me one time, you know what I don't like? Because I was telling her about, we talk about stuff. And she says, that's why I don't like it. Like, I don't know how you could, I don't even know why you could see stuff like that. That doesn't remind you of when mommy used to get beat? No. But I could see how. She was like, I can't. I don't like seeing all that blood. It makes me sick. Because I remember when that would happen, I'm the youngest though, I would be the one to go on the ambulance to the hospital with her. Like, we were little, So that was the first time I, like, as I'm getting older and the domestic violence is still happening, Miss Cheesecake, all that fighting is going on, all that beating up and all that stuff is going on. I'm still seeing it, yet I'm actually becoming more like first responder-ish. I'm like 911, my mother there, or let's go here, or I'm going to the hospital, like let me go here to the precinct, like all these things I'm doing with my sister, my other sister. But my other sister, she's like, oh, you're bothered. So what is that creating? Me getting comfortable in those situations.
Yep.
And it took me a long time to figure that out. You know when it took me? When I became a police officer is when I realized, you know what? I deal very well in situations because I've dealt with this. I was a first responder at the age of 3 or 4, What situation in your life, or not so much situation, in my case, it's trauma, right? It's the trauma. I respond to try to help folks because of the trauma. I feel like that's what I have. I have this. It shows up in my fibromyalgia. It's a lot of trauma. What, Def and Miss Cheesecake, what situation, and not so much situation, but what can you start when you were a child that you picked up on that you had that is related to mental health? That you picked up on your own. Like I picked up that because of the trauma, I feel my need to always try to fix and try to make sure that nobody, because when I was a kid, I couldn't really protect because I was a little kid, but I wanted to do everything in my power to do my part to try to help that it didn't happen again. Another example. I'm gonna keep giving you an example until y'all tell me. My sister Julie, I'll never forget. My sister Julie was like, "Take your shirt off." I was like, "For what?" She was like, "Put it on the floor so the blood could go, so that this time that he could stay in jail." Exactly.
Damn.
Exactly.
Damn.
Exactly. Like my sister Julie was like, "Take your put blood on you so that and so that we could and we little, we're already learning how to." We realize he's coming back to the house. This is us doing things like this. This is real talk, y'all.
Yeah.
Real talk. So it's no wonder why sometimes when we write certain things, we coming from that space that we don't realize we are tapping into.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you have two beautiful pieces. There's a reason why I'm asking these questions. When did you realize whatever situation like death, whatever situation, when you were a child or as you an adult, like when did it come? Because to me, it happened when I became a police officer.
I got you.
I started dealing with cases and I started seeing little Izzy's everywhere. Because I would go into the home and I'm like, little Izzy's here. Her face, her happiness to see a cop. I saw my mom. Yeah.
I would have to say for me, I started seeing my childhood self once I became a mom. I saw a lot of abuse coming up, mental abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse from the earliest age. I think I want to say about 3. So once I started having my kids, my first child, I was in a domestic violence relationship, and I literally had to stop in the midst of the abuse. And I'm like, this is me. I remember being in those situations as a child, trying to stop the fights, trying to be the one to be the mediator of the situation. And my son had ran up to me. He couldn't have been 1. Mommy, Daddy, stop. No, no, no. And I just saw me and him. And I'm like, no.
Yeah. That's it. That's it.
Trauma. It literally jumped on my back as a reminder, because when you're going through stuff in your childhood, you don't really think about it and how it would affect you in your adulthood.
Right.
You don't think it's coming back. It's always coming back. It just shows up in different forms.
Man, that is the truth right there. That is the truth right there. Miss Cheesecake, you know what? I'm going to see. Let me see if I have this here. I want to see something real quick.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. I'm having audio.
Yeah. What's that?
You have an audio.
Yeah. You're good to just try to be in a Miss Cheesecake. Just because you said that, you don't mind me playing trauma?
Oh, yeah. Go for it. Before
we get into Miss Cheesecake got 2 pieces, y'all. I want to play them back to back if you don't mind.
Go for it.
She's got trauma, and then I'm going to show y'all what else she got. Just based on what you just said, because this is childhood. This is what you're talking about. And it's so related to what we're talking about. It's so relevant right now. Shout out to Miss Cheesecake, y'all.
Trauma. My best friend and worst enemy. The hypervigilance that lives rent-free in my mind is definitely far from heaven sent. Constant nightmares and time wasted that should have been well spent. Wondering about the what-ifs and questioning everything instead of actually experiencing things with pure bliss. Wishing I could get a hug from my mama. I'm just embraced by the coldness from trauma. Trauma. Flashbacks of pain and some moments of peace, but in between, day by day, learning to simply just release. Trauma. Taken back to the sunken place by simple triggers, and it's written all over my face. My heart inside is full of love, but sometimes I feel caged and crave being free, like the flight of a dove. One day at a time, navigating through all this telenovela drama of the residuals left behind from all this trauma. Trauma. Mental abuse for being different. Physical abuse for speaking my mind. Waiting for the next blow up that brings it all to an end. Just a matter of time. Sexual abuse in my youth for simply being a kid. Full of regret and thoughts of things I should have did. Feeling angry because all I wanted was my mama, who just so happened to be the beginning of my trauma. Imagine being 3, awakened by your mama's voice and her telling you she's leaving you now and gives you no choice. Awakened from a dream, spiritually bidding you adieu. Running towards the front of your house without a clue. Seeing your mother's lips as they turn blue. Watching EMTs work on her with an entire crew. No pulse, no heartbeat, a deafening silence. As a toddler, your first response is to resort to violence. All I wanted was my mama to hold me, console me. But I was embedded with the residuals of this painful trauma. Growing up with an alcoholic father, physically present but emotionally disconnected. Young girl always craving validation, but instead being met with countless levels of rejection. The first man who broke my heart, who swore he loved my mama, was also a part of my trauma. To not know myself and seeking to find the remnants of what I used to and could be, only to find men who hurt mentally, physically, and emotionally abused me. I know it sounds like a melodramatic TV drama, missing my mama, craving her essence, but left with all this trauma. Poetically, I expressed my pain for my own personal gain, praying and meditating, searching for shelter from this rain, digging into the depths of my soul, removing roots of current and distant trauma. Missing places, missing pieces of me, my daddy and my mama. I do it for my parents and for my children, addressing, assessing, deep diving, and debunking, healing my trauma. Constant nightmares and time wasted that should have been well spent. Wondering about the what ifs and questioning everything instead of actually experiencing things with pure bliss. Wishing I could get a hug from my mama. I'm just embraced by the coldness from trauma. I'm just embraced by the coldness from trauma. Inside is full of love, but sometimes I feel caged and crave being free like the flight of a dove. One day at a time, navigating through all this telenovela drama of the residuals left behind from all this trauma. Mental abuse for being different. Physical abuse for speaking my mind. Waiting for the next blow up that brings it all to an end. Just a matter of time. Sexual abuse in my youth for simply being a kid. Full of regret and thoughts of things I should have did. Feeling angry because all I wanted was my mama, who just so happened to be the beginning of my trauma. Imagine being 3, awakened by your mama's voice and her telling you she's leaving you now and gives you no choice. Awakened from a dream, spiritually bidding you adieu. Trauma.
Man, that is Cheesecake. First of all, you have a hell of a story. You are the most powerful woman, one of the most powerful women I have ever met. Mean it. I mean it. I ain't talking shit. I'm telling
I
you.
know.
That is like, um it's so much. It's
Thank
it's
you.
and the fact that childhood, it goes back to childhood.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's something that when you say what you say there about the first man that broke your heart,
Mm-hmm.
um, I resonate with that.
Yeah, man.
I resonate with that. I think in the fact that you're so transparent with it,
Mm-hmm.
um, anyone watching us right now, uh, take a moment to think about it. Take a moment. Write down all those things that you're thinking about right now that are reminding you of your childhood, and you'll be
Mm-hmm.
surprised of the beautiful poetry you may have. And I'm not
Mhm.
trying to be funny at all.
Facts.
It's something. It helps us get through it. It makes it
Mm-hmm.
real because the more we stay quiet about it. Now, I'm not saying to tell the whole world. Not everybody's ready for these
Mm-hmm.
conversations. You got to be ready. But when you say it out loud, um, it's not that you're reliving it because a lot of the times we didn't say anything.
Nope.
I stayed quiet for so many years about my mom's domestic violence. I,
Mm-hmm.
I kept quiet about not being able to have children. I kept quiet about surgery after surgery after surgery. I thought it was the thing to do to be strong. And, after therapy for a little bit, after it's like sweeping everything under the carpet. You got to keep going. You got to keep going up until you can't even breathe anymore. Because it's like, it comes out of it. Somebody lifts the carpet. It shows up in relationships. It shows up at work because somebody's lifting up the carpet. You never know who
Absolutely.
that person is going to be. And the more you meet different people, they don't know what's going on. They just pressing certain buttons, and you're like, "Whoa, wait, I'm not ready for that." And then it just pops up, and you got to deal with it. You got to sit with it, let it flow, accept it, mourn if you have to,
Mm-hmm.
because when you hear it, you're like, okay, it did happen. This really did happen. And when I hear you say that, the trauma, and you say it out loud, it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And you say it's seeking validation. You know, sometimes I think we're not even seeking well, it happens because we want validation, but
Of course.
the fact that you're saying it out loud, this is what I'm saying, because sometimes people really are ugly out there. You know,
Oh yeah.
they hear a poet, they hear a song, they hear a hip hop song that you write, that I write, that you, and they want to, oh, they just want this, or she just wants this. But shut the fuck up. You don't know what she wants. You
That's
don't know
right.
where she's coming from. If you don't know where she's been at, then you definitely don't know where she's coming from.
Come on.
All right. So that's why I never entertain the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important that you sit with it for a minute, accept it, because it's almost like a grieving process.
It
You know what I
is.
mean? And it shows up. It doesn't always show up in those steps, like the denial, and it doesn't show up. Denial can come last. It doesn't. There's no 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It shows up different for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So the way I hear you say what you say, and your platforms, on how you deal with it, the encouragement you give to so many people, I definitely got to give you your flowers for that. And the fact that you are a mother who's making sure that your children don't go through what you went through.
Oh yeah, I
The
don't play
sexual
that.
abuse, all that
Right.
stuff. Exactly. So shout out to this mama bear right here. You know what I mean? That is beautiful. Now,
Thank
Miss
you. Thank
Cheesecake,
you. Mm-hmm.
we have another piece here. We have a video that we're going to play in a minute. Um, I'm going to give you the space to kind of tell us more or less what that's about, and how you could tie it to the childhood if you want to or not. The one that I did the video for you, I
Okay.
want you to tell me more or less, like give the viewers a little briefing on what that was about, if you don't mind.
Ooh, the bipolar disorder. So, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Um, that particular piece in particular, of course, I wanted to do to kind of express what my experience looks like having the disorder, because a lot of people talk about it, but they don't necessarily dig into where it comes from. This
Mm.
absolutely stems from childhood. It stems through genetics. It stems through environmental factors. Just my personal experiences, just having the disorder, but even still being able to separate myself from it, because I'm still me outside of that disorder. And your finishing touches on the video, chef's kiss, did that. It,
You made it easy because your
Mhm.
your your words are profound. Really, your words are profound, and I know for a fact, Miss Cheesecake, what we're doing here. Not only are we allowing we're providing a space for folks to not only listen to great poetry,
Mhm.
conversation. Um, Many people can identify with what we're saying, but we're also allowing someone to see the beauty in poetry and how it can help you start healing. I'm not
Absolutely.
saying it's the only medicine. I'm saying
Hmm.
it's definitely the triage for you
Absolutely.
to start getting better. It's a triage. That's
Hmm.
what we kind of outline, where do we go? And you could write your own prescription when it comes to stuff like this. Seek the help. Call the psychologist, call the psychiatrist, speak to a counselor, a mental health advocate, all that stuff. Read, research, find out. Look what Miss Cheesecake does. Def does it. Granny Wowzers. Shout out to Granny Wowzers. We all do that. Listen, it's okay. We
Hmm.
don't have all the answers. And I know a lot of people don't agree with me with this about we're never done healing. Let me explain that. You may be done healing fully with one thing,
That's right.
one situation, but guess what happens? Something else comes up that you're going to have to heal from. As long as you're living, you're going to have joy and you're going to have pain.
Come on now.
So when you have pain, it takes time to heal. So it's
Hmm.
kind of like a revolving door. There's no such thing as someone who never felt pain. I don't want to hear that. I don't care how much money you got in the bank. I don't care what car you're driving. I don't care what Gucci sandals you're wearing. I don't care how beautiful you are. If you're a size 0 to the 0 to the 0, I do not care. If you are alive, you feel pain and you feel joy.
That's right.
Along with
you
the
will be
joy,
healing.
and along with the joy and the pain, you're gonna feel sunshine and rain.
Come on now,
Correct.
bars.
Same. That's it right there. Absolutely. Because you could be financially very well off, but you could be emotionally bankrupt.
Come on. Woo!
Emotionally bankrupt. So it's not how much money you have, it's about how much sanity you can keep.
Hello. Woo.
All right. I don't know why I feel like I'm preaching right now, but let's go.
Church. Come on now.
Cheesecake
Bring me
said,
out
"Woo."
poetry. Okay, on her. Listen, that's Miss Cheesecake for with her poetic clinic. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to make an appointment. Can I make an appointment to go to the poetic clinic?
Come on
I need to go to the
down.
poetic clinic. I really do. All right, we're going to listen. We're going to watch y'all. This is beautiful, beautiful from Miss Cheesecake. Her words are super, super touching. Listen, Linda, listen. We got, listen, Linda. We have Bipolar Disorder by Miss Cheesecake. Shout out to Miss Cheesecake.
Grand rising, good morning, new day, a new dawning. As I sit here and write, contemplating with this mental I'm spawning, planting seeds or at least trying to of a new life for me. A lot of people don't know what to go off of, what they see based on their own perceptions and ideations of me. I am the epitome of an oxymoron, happiness and sadness in the same dwelling. I am chaos and peace, a truly divine mental masterpiece. I am the sun and the rain. I am the heartache and the pain. I'm everything you want me to be, and sometimes not enough to be perceived. Bipolar disorder. It's not everything that I am, but it's definitely a big part of me. I look deep into the depths of my heart and soul, digging deeply into the sea of memories of what used to be, what I thought was me. Let me break it down for you one time. I could wake up with a smile on my face, happy to take on the world, but deep down inside, I'm a broken little girl, looking for love and passion the way that any average woman would, but not understanding why I care about the things that I should've, would've, and wished I could. My mood switches rapidly like a computer glitches with no controls. Sometimes I barely know what's to unfold. Deep down inside, I just want you to hold me in your arms, maybe even your mind, and understand that I'm on a journey, just simply trying to find what used to be the remnants of me. Let me take you on a journey of what it's like to be in my mind, just a few symptoms of what you would be able to define as bipolar 1 disorder. Some days I'm manic and excited, ready to take on the day, feeling like a god. I'm outside to play. Then I get depressed, aka a depressive episode. Not feeling like myself, not wanting to get out from under the covers. I fold. Succumbing to the chapters of my mind that I would rather not define in the moment as heartache and pain and anxious, melancholy psychosis. I triple focus too heavy, the diagnosis, mixed emotions, rapid cycling. I feel like I'm constantly fighting to be what I thought I used to see. But then again, I have to realize that this is a part of me. One day at a time, each day, I get older, and then having to sit down with this bipolar disorder, up and down like a roller coaster ride. I slip and slide into the galaxy of the depths of my mind. Sometimes I just want to sit back and recline and go over the days of the years, remembering when I used to smile happily with glee and melancholy. I'm learning to control my impulsivity, but at the end of the day, maybe it's just my insecurities. In reality, I'm very much happy to be me, minus the slip-ups. And loving me has been so hard to do, especially when I was taught so many different things that weren't true. Mood swings, sadness, elevated mood, anger, anxiety, apathy, apprehension, euphoria, general discontent, guilt, hopelessness, loss of interest or pleasure in activities. When I tell you my truth, this is just the mood. Behavioral, irritability, risk-taking behaviors, disorganized behavior, aggression, agitation, crying, excess desire for sex, aka hypersexuality, hyperactivity, impulsivity, self-harm. Damn, I thought this was just my charm. Cognitive, unwanted thoughts, delusion, lack of concentration, racing thoughts, slowness in activity, also false belief in superiority.
I'm not grandiose in my thinking, but I feel like I'm the real authority talking my shit. Psychologically, depressed, manic, agitated, depression, paranoia, difficulty falling asleep, or excessive sleepiness. My whole body is fatigued and restless, weight fluctuating up and down, rapid and frenzied speaking. I talk fast, try to keep up with my sound. One band, one sound. Like I said, it's a lot to dive off into. One day at a time each day, getting older. Deep diving into my mind and what it looks like to deal with bipolar disorder. I'm Miss Cheesecake.
Woo, man,
Man, that was dope.
that was
Thank
deep
you.
and
That's
profound.
deep.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
And it's her execution all the time. I'm trying to tell
So
you.
so as far as you dived into bipolar, right? As far as that, like, do you feel like you bipolar, or is that something you just speaking on in general?
Oh no, I'm diagnosed bipolar 1.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
Man, so
take medication for
you
that?
dove deep. You dove deep.
Yeah, she did.
Mm-hmm.
She did. She did.
Man. Shout out, snaps
Um,
out to you, Cheesecake. That was dope. Snaps out
Thank
to you.
you.
and
Thank you.
that's why I feel like she's powerful because she has diagnosis multiple, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You mentioned them.
Multiple.
Can you remind the viewers, Miss Cheesecake recently, go check it out. It's on the Alliance Network. It's on this channel, on the Dr. Poetry channel section. You guys will see the Cheesecake story on autism. And
Mm-hmm.
she dives into that. It was wonderful, by the way. Um, how you sit here, a poet, a mom, an advocate, a hell of a friend, because I know you are. You're very compassionate, holding it together to make sure that your children, are never tainted with any of it.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, you battling your own diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
And she says it like, yeah, I have that, and I have that. And
Hmm.
she's been diagnosed with it. And guess what? I host here a poetic clinic so
Yeah.
that we all could learn about it. So we all could
Absolutely.
be each other's light. Because it's about the connection. It's about
Mm-hmm.
helping, uplifting. And there are times she doesn't feel like doing it. But guess what? She's here.
I'm here.
And I love that. I really do. And let me tell you, no one here, and I'm going to say this, no one here is on the show for money
Mm-mm.
because none of us get paid.
No.
We're doing this because we love this. We love
Absolutely.
to help others. And also, the truth is, I believe that each and every one of us that are on Hear Me Out Poetry, Deaf Poetry, Miss Cheesecake, Granny Wowzers, and those that came through genuinely felt that someone would resonate with what we've been through and not the trauma bonding, because there's a difference. I keep saying that
Absolutely.
someone could be inspired and could start taking steps, measures, I should say, take some measures in their life and try to get themselves and feel themselves better and make themselves feel better, motivate you. Those that don't want to get out of bed, those that don't want to go to work, those that feel like it's over, you know, if you love poetry or you love music or you love
Hmm.
music like beats and anything, this is the place for you.
Hmm.
Or if you
Absolutely.
just want to hear other people's stories and how we get up every day to do our job. I just finished telling you guys I was a child watching my mom get really bad beat downs. I
Mm-hmm.
became I want to be the change. Earlier today on a platform, I heard someone speak on narcissism.
Mm.
And they were saying that some people, because I asked the question, I knew the answer because I knew this. We had talked about this already, but I asked the question on that platform that we love so much, and I asked the question about what is it that if your parents are one of your parents or both are considered narcissist, you believe they're narcissistic, they have narcissism, they are narcissists. What about the children? Will they be narcissists? I asked that question. You think that's you inherit that? And someone was like, well, someone answered says, yeah. I mean, remember, what is it? Hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
Now I had left a comment and said, well, that's true. However, hurt people, or hurt people, heal people. Not everybody wants to hurt people.
That's true.
You cannot define everyone with one thing, because then you're confining us.
Come on.
Some of us were hurt, but I promised myself that I will heal people. I want to save people. I want to help people. I want to protect people. I want to be what I needed when I was a kid. So it doesn't always have to end so ugly.
Nope.
Oh, you've been through that. That means you're going to be that. That's not true. It's all perspective.
Yeah, that's right.
Example, my sister. My sister been traumatized by the blood and all the, the stitches and all the things that my mom went through. It's not that she doesn't want to help people. She's not hurting people. She's just trauma. She can't even be around it. She's not there yet. And she's not trying to face that neither. She's like, look, I don't want to know anything about that. Me, on the other hand, I got used to seeing it, that I was kind of like, well, this person's going to have Let's get an ice pack. Let's do this, and you want to help people.
You jumped right in.
Now, there might be other people, relatives, that may have seen that, and it's like, oh, you're such a loser. You're a piece of, and hurting because you're feeling all that when you were a kid. Does that kind of make sense here?
Absolutely.
So for someone to say, well, hurt people, and that's how you answer the question, I thought that was a little irresponsible.
Yeah, it was very a short-lived answer. At the end of the day,
it's a duality.
It's a duality, exactly. With narcissism, it's a situation to where at the end of the day, you're put in the position to choose. You're either going to hurt people, you're going to be the prey, you're going to be the predator. You choosing either way it go.
Right. And even with domestic violence, like I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even like nobody raising their voice at me. I'm quick to be
neither. Ooh.
I got beat. You're not gonna do what my mother did to my mother, my aunt, and my. I'm quick. I'm real quick. I'm kind of. I get it. I combat mode. Like I'm quick to be like, because meanwhile you could either be a victim, or you could be the victimized, the one that's actually the abuser, or you could try to like work it out in your head and try to not be either or and stay balanced and say, and it's not easy. But that's why we write poetry. That's why we do what we do, and we're all learning here. So yeah, that was something, Miss Cheesecake. That was something, and I could see how. So when you were a child, when did you start noticing the bipolar thing? Like when did that? How did that?
Oh, so I knew that I had a sister. Rest in peace to her. She had different behaviors. I noticed that. I never knew what those behaviors were. I just knew she was a very sweet person and she was kind of childlike. But like when she would snap, like she would go off the deep end, and then I would hear stories from my siblings. I'm my mother's only child, so I'm the youngest of 9 when it comes to my dad. So my elder sister, I started paying attention to her around like 9 or 10, like real heavy. Like I noticed like the shift. She would be really sweet and loving, and then all of a sudden she would just go off the deep end. But I also seen those same characteristics in my dad. I did not get diagnosed until I was about 15 because I started getting in trouble with the law. And then I went to what was a court-ordered therapy session, 30 days for depression. They found out I had depression. Okay, so you're going to go to therapy for 30 days, and it's going to be a situation to where once you get done with this therapy, you can go back to your regular life. That ain't how it went. Found out I had bipolar 1 disorder, PTSD, anxiety disorder. It was a list of things, but then they started like kind of connecting things. They was like, is anybody else in your family bipolar? I didn't really know. They got to explaining things to me. And then once I got the characteristics, I was like, that's my dad and my sister and the majority of my family. And then, of course, later on, I found out the sister that had bipolar, she was schizoaffective, actually. So she had bipolar disorder and schizophrenia, and she was also autistic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And so you were 15.
I was 15.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? I was a multi-systemic therapist.
Mhm.
I work with the juvenile justice department during the pandemic, and I will visit the homes of adolescents and teenagers who were ordered by the court to exhaust this treatment. It was
Mhm.
cognitive behavioral therapy, and I would provide that for teens that were just about to go into the system, and this was
Mm.
their last break with me. That was their last option. Like that, it was
Okay.
me or you're going to jail
Mhm.
or you're going to a group home or whatever. They put you in an institution and stuff like that. New York. I did that for a year, and when you say that, and it was usually at 15 is when they start sending them to a psychological evaluation with a
Mhm.
psychiatrist, and I could not believe when I would read the psychosocials and the diagnosis. This
Mhm.
is why I told you that I am familiar with the DS, all that.
Oh
It
yeah.
kind of like it just brings me back some because it was sad to me. I kind of got attached to the kids, and
Mhm.
and I see how a lot of it plays with the family, like the relatives. Like when you're sitting there at the group therapy, you find out that all of them are diagnosed with something.
Mhm.
So I would ask myself, well, then how do we? I would say this in my meetings with the staff because my thing is criminology, right?
Yeah.
They gave me the job because I have a criminal justice background and I'm dealing with teens that are about to go into the system.
Mhm.
So because of my master's in criminology, I was given the opportunity to take on multi-systemic therapy, which is like solution-based, scientific, like they use all these different ways of dealing with troubled teens to make sure that they don't, get lost in the population, the state, it become
Mhm.
worse in the state. And it was kind of tough because Miss Cheesecake, I was speaking with the moms and the dads and the sisters and the kids and I realized that how do you fix this when everybody has a mental disorder?
Mhm.
Like it was really rough. Like that was really challenging for me. So and I say for me meaning like a person who's not I took psychology in class, the prerequisites that you need to take, but it's different when you're out there in the field.
And seeing
And,
it
and
head on.
yeah, and the medication and the way they had to
Ooh.
hide the knives sometimes and the cameras that they have in the apartments to watch the
Mhm.
kids, all this, man, the way the moms would, and it was during the pandemic when they were out there. So, um, learning this at 15, do they put you on meds? Did they give you medication? How did
Not
they?
initially. Not initially. It started off with a lot of talk therapy. I'm sorry.
Right, right.
I went to see a psychiatrist. I went to see a psychologist. They started off, I think it was like for the first year and a half or two, unmedicated. And then all of a sudden, I transitioned into cognitive behavior therapy, and then the meds got introduced.
Yeah, because they start hearing more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
you said the meds got introduced. You said
Mm-hmm.
so after you took the meds, like that made a big difference for you. For you, like you seen a big difference. Like I mean, for yourself, like is that something you know?
Only a few,
Yeah,
because they put me initially on Seroquel. That to me is a horse tranquilizer. I don't want that. I did not feel like myself. I was not myself when I
you
was
tried
out.
you had some that you tried and it wasn't for you. You had to
No, it wasn't for me. Um, it had me like zombified. I'm not gonna sit here and say for those that are out there listening, don't take your medication. I'm not saying that.
Right.
For
Disclaimer.
me,
Mhm.
it was different medications that they put me on that had me like in a zombie state because I personally feel like there were a lot of different misdiagnoses based on the
Mm,
fact that I experienced trauma, and that happens
That
often with
that was my
neurodivergent people.
that was my second question. Do you feel like you were misdiagnosed? That was my
Absolutely.
second question.
Hmm.
Because I seen that I would see this here, and I used to tell this to the clinician, I don't know,
Hmm.
the head psychologist, and I'm no psychologist, but if she's having this and she's taking this, could it be this? You start looking at
Hmm.
because everybody's chart is different.
Different.
See,
Hmm.
Miss Cheesecake may be okay, just giving you an example. You will probably prescribe something for the bipolar, also for the anxiety,
Hmm.
also for, I don't know, ADHD,
Hmm.
but for somebody else, they're probably getting something for early on schizophrenia. They're also getting a little. So these medications, it's like a cocktail of different side effects. So they're gonna feel different than she's gonna feel. What may work for you may not work for Miss Cheesecake.
Right.
Absolutely.
You cannot. There's no. It's case by case.
Yeah, and it's good for you. It's good on you that you were able to, try. Well, dictate that for yourself. Like, all right, this ain't working for me. I ain't even gonna do it because a lot of people. I ain't gonna say a lot of people, but there's because I don't know, right? But I'm sure that there's cases where